we've got your team now up on screen, Adam. So I suppose while
Yeah,
we're on it, could you read out your team for our podcast listeners and talk through your
yeah, of
planned
course.
moves?
So I've got McCarthy in goal. Going to keep him for the next 3 weeks. Pointless changing him. I've got at the back. I've got a decision. So I've got Target, Chilwell, and then I've got a decision between Ayling and Justin, which I'll come on to in a minute. Salah, De Bruyne, Son, and Grealish in midfield, and then Vardy, Calvert-Lewin, and Bamford up front. So I've got 2 free transfers. I think firstly, just going through the defence, I've got to decide between starting Justin or Ayling. For me, I got it wrong last week, but I think I'm going to trust Ayling because they're playing Newcastle. And Newcastle, they had that. Bruce was saying how exhausted the players were at the end of the game. And so I think the main threat for Newcastle will come from set pieces. I'm just going to put fingers crossed, hope Leeds can actually defend. But I think if you're knackered, one of the teams you don't want to play, probably Leeds and Southampton are probably two of the ones that stand out for that sort of play. So I'm going to gamble. I think Ayling, even at centre back, he had a chance. He nearly created one for Rodrigo. So I think I'm going to go with that. I think Johnny Evans being out is a big blow for Justin, in my opinion. So I think I thought Justin was excellent the other day, but I think I'm going to go with starting Ayling. I've then got in midfield. So I've got 2 free transfers. My original plan was this. I was going to take out Vardy and Grealish for Watkins and Bruno. I can be talked out of this because there's quite a few options and I've played around it all day. But what I'm very keen to do is progress my team forward each week. And I looked at a hokey cokey with Salah and Bruno. But then I might end up reversing it in a couple of weeks. I think, and I actually think what I said about Liverpool, I think Liverpool could score 2 or 3 against Spurs. So, whereas I actually think if Everton set up how they do, or how they did against Chelsea, I think it'll be difficult for Leicester. You saw how they struggled to break down Fulham. Not everyone's going to be as obliging as Brighton and play as open as they do. So I actually think, but then if Rodriguez comes in, that could disrupt that. I think that makes them defensively weaker. So I think at the moment I'm going to stick with that. I'm open to suggestions though. So if you've got anything else that you think, it allows, by the way, in game week 14, subject to no price rises, I can then do Justin to Ruben Diaz.
Nice.
So it strengthens my defence. So that's one of the other reasons I'm looking. It just gives me just enough so I can put some money back. What do you reckon?
I'm not sure on who to bring. We're all torn at the moment of which premiums, right? So it's very easy to say, take out Vardy, put in Bruno, right? I suppose my only advice would be don't do the hokey cokey because you're just using your transfers every week and you're not moving your team forward, your whole team forward. You're just jumping from one capture option onto the rest, and as you say, taking out you. For me, you've got Salah in now. You didn't bring in Salah for one game, right? He's got Spurs again. He's at home. They're on penalties, top of the table class.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got Palace, who Kane could easily have scored a couple of goals yesterday. Guaita made some incredible saves. Salah should get a bit of joy there as well. Even it's just a goal, right? It's all it needs for a midfield to get a haul is a goal. Then after that, they're home to West Brom. So I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't do the hokey cokey because it was going to work. Out of your options, I would take Vardy out. He may score this week, right? But after this week, you're not going to want him. Whereas you are going to want Salah back. And I think this is my thing. I would do your Vardy move. Get in Bruno. You're setting your team up for the coming weeks and not hopping from one week to the next.
So the 2 decisions in that case, do I lose Grealish or Son? Who would you, if you were in my shoes, who would you lose?
I would personally say Grealish if you're getting Watkins because you're getting Villa attacker.
I think that fits nicely because if I keep Grealish, I could bring Ings in, but then the problem is I have pretty much no money to do anything with my defence.
I wouldn't do Ings because Southampton, so their next 2 now, they're away to Arsenal.
And then home to City, aren't they?
So whereas Watkins have got a really nice run, home to Burnley, away to West Brom, home to Palace.
I mean, do you know, I spent a lot of today looking at options, and I think I always come back to this one, and I think it was the one I planned. And there are things that could go wrong with it. I mean, I could look at other options to Watkins, but I think the fact I'm taking out Grealish, and do you know what? I quite like him as a player, so I think that makes it a little bit. It makes it a little bit more fun for me not to have any Villa attack as well. It would take an element of fun.
It's either that, right, or because Vardy and Grealish could both return this week. If you're not going to captain Bruno, just use a transfer somewhere in your team. Maybe upgrade someone to Diaz. And just don't get Bruno.
I've only got 0.1 in the bank, so I can't. That's the thing. I can't do that. But defensive.
If you're not going to captain Bruno, Bruno, even if he's, if he scores his penalty, even if he hauls 12 or 14 points, Vardy and Grealish will probably get something, maybe one return each. If you're going to captain him, I think it's different because you're doing it for a specific reason. But you may want to leave them in just for this week, because how gutted will you be if you do those moves? Vardy and Grealish, who've both got nice home games against weak defences, they both return, and Bruno, Bruno just doesn't get his return.
I think the problem is, because I did consider that, but one of my regrets is sometimes, I said it earlier with a few pods back when I had Rashford and I didn't move him to Bruno for that extra -4. Yeah. You watch Bruno. He's just he's a player that I definitely do want. And the other thing is, because I've only got 0.1 in, I think if I could make a Ruben Diaz move or do something to strengthen my defence, which would move my team forward, I'd do it. But because I literally have no money, and I'd be making a move for the sake of it. So I'm prepared for it to go wrong. I'm just hoping Everton put on a decent defensive show, which I think they're capable of if they set up how they did against Chelsea. And I think it'd be harder for Vardy to play against, particularly if it's 4 actual centre backs, that are very limited going forward. So I think that's what I'm decided on. I think the other reason for keeping Son is I think he's very, very lethal on the counter attack. I think he's more lethal and more punishing than Grealish. And plus, I bought him at 9 million, so I'm probably gonna want to keep him. So I won't be kicking myself as much if it doesn't work out, because at least I'm benefiting from.
And especially because you haven't got Kane either, right? This is the thing with having the Spurs.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
You haven't got either
exactly.
of them, what a killer,
Exactly. Because I think against Leicester and Wolves, I think Spurs could do okay. So I think that's me sorted. You've got me convinced. You haven't talked me out of.
I just wouldn't take out Salah, because then you're just moving captain to captain, and the rest of your team is like slowly decaying, so to speak, around the edges, in there. Whereas if you're constantly moving it forward,
exactly.
And what about for game week 14 then? For next, any thoughts?
Yeah, if I can do it, and it'll be exact money, and I've got this is all subject to price wise.
You have to move early then.
Yeah, well, I can do bring Ruben Diaz in, but if not Ruben Diaz, I'll there are other people. I could bring in Eric Dyer. I could bring it, because it's only for 2 game weeks as well. So, Diaz could end up getting rotated. So I've got Dyer as a cheaper option. I've got, who else? I've Reece James as well. Might go double Chelsea for a few game weeks. I think if they got West Ham and Arsenal, I don't think, is West Ham at home and Arsenal away? Is that right?
Who's that? Sorry, I missed that.
For Chelsea, I think the game week 14 and 15.
Chelsea, West Ham at home, Arsenal away, then Villa at home.
Yeah, exactly. So it's guaranteed a clean sheet at Arsenal, and so and exactly. So I think that's my plans at the moment, and we'll obviously talk about captaincy in a minute, because I know a few people are asking in the chat.
We will, just in the chat. So Ped at home, will Aguero or Jesus start next game? If I was to bet, I'd bet Jesus, but also because Pep likes to rotate, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ferran Torres or Sterling.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think it'll be Aguero. I can't see how Aguero can play in no football to start of the game, personally. Karen Bora says Bruno will start. He will indeed. Let's just have a look. Paris says City have amazing fixtures. We do know that De Bruyne is being rested. I'm not sure about that, Willie. I haven't seen anything there to say that he can be rested. Ryan Baker asks you, Adam, can you do Vardy to Brewster and Bissouma to Fernandes? What a shout that is if you've got the cash to do that.
Yeah, it's a
but
great
then you're
shout.
stuck with that. You've got no bench, have you?
No, it's a really good shout, and it's one I wish I could do, but I can't. So I can, if I do Vardy to Brewster, I think I've only got 10 and a half. I can't stretch, unfortunately.
Half.
So yeah, I'm just that. So, but I mean, how it works out by that move, though, basically means that because I would like that 3-5-2 with Grealish instead of Watkins. But that's the only difference. But what it does do is it gives me that bit of extra money to improve my defence. So you can't have everyone. That's the thing, can you? So it's win-win for me. Grealish scores. I'm not going to moan too much. And if he doesn't, well, at least it's not hurt my FPL ranks. So
that's right. Okay, and moving on to my team. So I've got Martinez in goals. At the moment in my team, I've got a back four of Robertson, Chilwell, Reece James and Creswell. Got a midfield of De Bruyne, Son and Fernandes, and three up front of Bamford, Watkins and Ings, with Soucek first sub and Jota and Mitchell then 14th and 15th. So my thoughts are that I want to have Salah in for West Brom, right? I mean, I'm not really a manager who likes to just focus all energies on one player for one game. But that home to West Brom looks like it might be an absolute bloodbath. It's got like hat trick written all over it, right? And I don't want to be 40 points off by trying to be too smart. If Jota was fit, like I say, I would go without Salah. Jota's not fit. Salah is, he's in for me. So I need to work out how to get there. So I have got 3 game weeks worth. My plan. So what I can do Robertson down to Diaz to free up some money, and obviously get in Diaz, who I think is going to be fantastic over this run and very attacking. He's been very unlucky not to score any.
Will you do that this game week then?
I probably will, but I'll touch on that now. So I need to do that. I then need to do Ings out, which is a real shame, because I brought him in thinking, if I had Jota as Liverpool cover almost, if you know what I mean, then I would be happy, but I can't. So I need to put Ings down to either Welbeck, which I'm not doing, or De Cordova-Reid, which I kind of mentioned earlier, which will mean that I have got 3 playing strikers, but that then enables me to do the direct upgrade then from Jota up to Salah. So I can do that. It's going to cost me a -4. I think I can do it, but what I can do this week, so I can do Robertson to Diaz this week. But I love Robertson, right? I really do, but I'm doing this for the greater good. I can do Robertson to Diaz this week. Diaz has got a really good chance of a clean sheet. What I can do then potentially in game week 14 is put Ings down to Cordova-Reid, and then I can do the Salah. I don't like planning transfers 2 or 3 weeks in advance, so I could just do it for the hit, on either this week or next week or wherever else. I've got a decision to kind of make there. But I will then have a midfield of De Bruyne, Son, Fernandes, Salah, and Soucek, which I'm really happy with. I'll have defence of Diaz, Chilwell, James, and Creswell. So it's that kind of premium defence we were talking about. I will have strikers of Bamford, Watkins, and De Cordova-Reid. I could probably move Watkins on after a couple of weeks, but my plan would probably be then to probably lose either Salah, De Bruyne, or Fernandes, or even Son. Not sure, I mean, who knows? There could be some kind of injury. There could be a team may go off the, off form or whatever it is. But I too want Kane in then for game week 16. But I will very, very likely have to lose a big midfielder if I want that. But I have got Son, and I've said all along, I don't think you need Son and Kane personally. I think having Salah, De Bruyne, Bruno, and Son or Kane, and a nice squad around you, a very nice team all around, especially double Chelsea attacking fullbacks defence, which basically play as attackers kind of anyway. Southcheck on the bench, as well. So I think I'm fairly happy with that. In all honesty, and that so that's my kind of plan for the next 2 or 3 game weeks there. What do you think?
I think Jota to Foden, captain Foden. That's what I would do.
Do you know what? It's written in the stars, isn't it?
He's going to haul this week. He's going to haul.
If Foden scores 10 points this week, I'm going to give away a Fancy Football Hub mug to someone. I'm going to give it to FPL Geordie, because he's so supportive, and active in the chat and stuff. So there we go, FPL Geordie.
That's good. I like that.
If Foden scores 10 points in game week 13, we will get you
10 plus points. Yeah,
10 or more.
Yeah.
Then I'll give you a mug. So
I like that.
I'll be sick. I'll be absolutely sick, having held him for so long.
I like the fact that you're planning ahead. I think that's really good, and I know you're a manager that does that, and you're not just thinking about the one game week. So I quite like your moves. I think how you set up at the moment defensively. I think you've got the best goalkeeper. You set up defensively quite strong. I think it's the right move to get rid of Robertson. Great player. But it's just Liverpool aren't keeping the clean sheets, and there's just better there's people that can match him for less. So I think that makes sense. So yeah, I like your moves, and I think because you haven't got a wild card, I think you're setting yourself up really well, because you're going to have 14 players, that play. So yeah, I can't argue with that. I bet you're kicking yourself. You got Ings this week, though, aren't you?
I'm just gutted. If I'd have known that Jota, like I say, was out, I would have got Salah in. But there was this knock thing, right? So I was like, oh, if he's got a knock, it's fine. He could still even play, or if not. And
do you know what it did? It was Saturday morning. It broke, wasn't it? About how? It was Saturday morning.
So good, because I put so much thought into it as well, and I was so 50-50 all week on whether to do it or not. And if I would have known that, I would have done it definitely. So but we'll move on. It could cost me a -4 or not, but I think my team is very solid. Actually, there was a really good question in the chat earlier. I do apologize. I read it, but I didn't acknowledge it at the time because we were talking. But for those who haven't got a wild card, the question was, would you be looking already towards potentially the double game weeks? And my thought is, I am here. So this is one of the reasons why I bought in Creswell early. I think their good run started in game week 8, so I brought him in like game week 7. One of the reasons I brought in Southcheck is because I will have Creswell and Southcheck for this game week 18 or 19. I'm not making moves just for that. It just so happens they are good options anyway, but not having the wild card, I am starting to think slightly to that. The only fixture we know, as I say, is West Ham and West Brom. Not interested in anyone in West Brom at all. So my current thought is, well, I could even potentially do Watkins to Antonio in game week 16, 17 or 18, when Villa's fixtures turn, which gives me that really nice rounded team and 3 West Ham players going into a double game week. Likely play free hit in 18, hold the team for 19, but we'll see. But I suppose my answer is, I wouldn't be putting all my eggs in one basket now. Just having the back of your mind if you've got a 50-50, just have a think about a few weeks down the line, I would say.